Hello and welcome to the latest in our series of iFormulate Revisited presentations. In this series, we take a fresh look at some past presentations we've given at conferences and events in recent years and give those who weren't there at the time a chance to see and hear them. And on this occasion, we're going to be taking a look at Formulating Biology, New Challenges for Chemists. This was a presentation I gave at the ChemUK trade show in UK in May 2024. A few words about iFormulate to start with. So you can see the contact details for myself and my business partner, David Calvert, there. We're firstly a consultancy helping clients create opportunities and also helping them solve their problems with formulation, and those challenges can be technical, but they're quite often techno-commercial as well. We also have given strategic support to industry bodies who have wanted to develop and refine their strategies for formulation and for the formulating industry. And we've also engaged in quite a lot of formulation training, so formulation skills, both in person or online, public courses or tailor-made for the client. So a whole range of flexible options there in formulation training that we can offer. We've been going for about 12 years now, since formed in 2012, and we've got between us over 65 years of relevant industry experience when you combine our experiences, and we've covered all formulating industries, so pharmaceuticals, ag chem, personal care, detergents, cleaners, coatings, and so on. We've got diverse experiences and knowledge in both technical and commercial aspects of formulation, as well as a really wide range of contacts. But if there's something that we don't know, then we do have the option of bringing in some people from our complementary network of associates who may have the additional knowledge that are needed for particular projects. So we'll bring those in as and when we need them as well. Worth defining formulation before we start properly. I think it's formulation used across different industries, but firstly we'll use the word formulation for a finished product suitable for sale to the customer, which is a complex mixture of multiple ingredients, often consisting of more than one phase. So you might see gas phase, liquid phase, or solid phase, multiple phases in the formulation, as well as multiple ingredients. So the complexity is important. We've also got a formulation used for the recipe or the composition that describes the product, and that recipe can contain one or more active or functional ingredients. We also use formulation to describe the process you use to combine ingredients in the lab or in the manufacturing plant to produce the required structure. And structure is really important in formulation. It helps you, as much as the ingredients, to give you the properties that you want. We also use formulation as an enabling technology. Sometimes we do even call it formulation science. And that technology allows the product to be made safely and effectively. And there's a lot of knowledge and expertise behind that enabling technology. So why are we picking formulating biology for the topic of this presentation today? Well, I think traditionally formulated products have been chemically based. So some examples here, just a couple of examples, one of which might be the classical small molecule active pharmaceutical ingredient, which is formulated into a medicine with the aid of various excipients. Or another example might be the classical chemical pesticide active ingredient, which is again formulated into a commercial plant protection product. Now, chemical formulation is well established and pretty well understood by formulators. So we understand pretty well the issues of chemical and physical compatibility and stability. And there are a number of really well established formats on the market for these formulations to be presented in, so suspensions, solutions, emulsions, granules, microcapsules, and so on. But I think increasingly over the past few years, growing in importance have been biologically based ingredients, and they can be active or functional ingredients So examples of these might be peptide-based active pharmaceutical ingredients for medicines. They might be living microbes or natural extracts, which can be used for plant protection and other crop uses once they've been formulated. And I think there's been a general extension to the range of naturally derived, biologically derived, if you like, co-formulants or excipients which are available on the market. The reasons for this are numerous, but three simple words probably to describe why biology is becoming important: efficacy, specificity, and environment. It works in a very specific way, and it may be environmentally friendly when compared to synthetic chemical solutions. So let's pick a few selected examples from industry. One I've used here, and is a very common bacterial species used in agriculture. So insecticides based on Bacillus thuringiensis, BT. One good example of that is Dipel from Valent. Peptides can also be used for agricultural uses. So companies such as Micropept, as just one example, includes things like bioherbicides and ingredients for fungal disease control, and these are based on naturally derived or naturally origined peptides. And then another example from agriculture is the use of RNA interference technology, RNAi, using specific double-stranded DS RNA to regulate specific genes. And I've given you an example to Renaissance Ag Biopesticides, which is one of the companies active in that market. So new ways of doing things in agriculture based on biology, and also relatively new ways of doing things in medicine based on biology. So you'll see medicines based on so-called biologic APIs. These are typically peptides or monoclonal antibodies. Just a couple examples I've given you here. One is Humira from AbbVie, which is one of the biggest monoclonal antibody products used for treating autoimmune conditions. And then quite a long established peptide product, Zoladex from AstraZeneca, which is a treatment for prostate and breast cancer. Just making an appearance on the market, probably for the first time, are live biotherapeutic products. So one example of those is Rebiota from Ferring, and that's used to prevent recurrence of Clostridium difficile infection. And it's one of the few LBP, live biotherapeutic products, so far approved as a medicine. And some of us will be very familiar as patients, if you like, receiving vaccines based on biological ingredients. A good example of that has been mRNA, messenger RNA technology, which has, of course, been used in those COVID-19 vaccines from Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech. And then moving outside the medical and agricultural worlds, now quite a number of years now, enzymes have been very common in laundry detergent formulations. So these will be protease, lipase, or cellulose enzymes, which can act on the dirt on laundry and can partially replace the surfactants in the formulation and help remove stains that way. And more recently, found an example here of a microbially based cleaner. So Novozymes have a product called Microvia, based on bacillus organisms, which are said to establish a community of beneficial microbes, then foster microbiome diversity and populate hard surfaces with hard-working microbes, and then produce enzymes to break down organic soil. So, if you like, biological approaches to cleaning. That's really quite interesting, I think. So as a formulator then, what are the challenges of having biological components to deal with? First of those, I think, is stability, and then the formulator will be asking themselves the question, will microbes stay alive during manufacture, during storage, or during use? And you want them to stay alive, but you don't want them to reproduce during manufacture or storage. You only want them to reproduce after use. So will those microbes reproduce during manufacture or storage, or how could you prevent that from happening? If you're looking at sensitive materials such as peptides, will they maintain their important primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structure throughout the process of manufacture and storage, and therefore maintain their activity? And really quite important, quite sensitive materials, some of these. What are the environmental effects? So UV light, heat, pH. What are those effects of those things on the active? And then there's compatibility. Will the co-formulants and excipients that I'm used to using be compatible with that active? Can I get the active to the target? So delivery is a challenge. Can I get, having got the active, can I even get it to the target during the application process? And then, have I got the right understanding? So this is more about the approach that a formulator might take to acquiring and using biological and biochemical knowledge, and really understood the special features of microbes, of peptides, of things like RNA and so on. So those are the challenges. How has industry tried to meet those challenges? And here are some examples from agriculture that we thought were quite interesting. So going back to that example of the bacterial insecticide, BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, from Valent, called Dipel, the trade name for that, is actually an oil-based formulation, which is then emulsifiable when you add it to the spray tank and apply it onto the field. And that avoids the use of water in a liquid formulation. So that then prevents organisms from growing during manufacture and storage. So using quite simply an oil-based formulation, not a water-based formulation. But it is possible to formulate water-based suspensions, and here's examples of these exist. One example is the way that Bacillus amylol, another bacillus species used to prevent crop pathogens, and these formulations can contain glycols or block copolymers, PEO, PEG, PPO, block copolymers, which reduce the water activity, the level of free water in the formulation, and prevent unwanted growth of organisms there. And it's one of several bacterial species as well, which can be formulated as spores. Spores are really quite tough things. That gives you some sort of natural protection to the bacteria during manufacture and storage. And then came across this example, which I thought was quite interesting, a combination formulation, a microemulsion. That's from a patent from a company called Advanced Biological Marketing. They've taken a fungicide, so a fungus that can attack unwanted fungi called trichoderma, and formulated that together with chemical pesticides in the same product. Now, these two things might interfere with each other, so in fact what they've done here is disperse the trichoderma spores in the oil phase, and that's aided by these hydrophobin proteins generated from the spores that quite likes being dispersed in the oil phase. And then the chemical pesticide is distributed in the aqueous phase of the formulation. So effectively they're kept apart in the formulation until the point of application. Has medicine approached these similar sorts of challenges? So going back to that example of mRNA vaccines for COVID, mRNA, messenger RNA, is very delicate, and it has to be protected, and it has to be delivered through the cell walls. It wouldn't naturally go through the cell walls after it's been injected into the body. So those people that worked on the formulation really had to come up with quite a complex system of lipids to protect and then also to deliver the mRNA. So this technology, which is known as LNP, lipid nanoparticle technology, uses ionizable lipids that bind onto the mRNA and protect it, and then has some so-called pegylated or surfactant-like lipids which then stabilize the particle. There are some phospholipids or helper lipids that then help delivery of the mRNA into the cell. And then you've got some structuring lipids. The cholesterol molecules actually help structure the liquid phase and reduce the leakage, the unwanted leakage of mRNA out of the lipid nanoparticle. So some quite complex formulation technology required for those sorts of very sensitive ingredients. Slightly less challenging, but also requiring quite a lot of thought in terms of formulation, the protection of peptides. And a number of therapeutic peptides are applied by inhalation, so it's a very popular way of getting these things into the body. It avoids going through the gastrointestinal tract where they might be broken down, so actually delivered through the nose. And these peptides can be protected during the spray drying process by the use of some excipients to stabilize them during a process which might otherwise be expected to be quite damaging to those peptides. So that's some clever use of excipients to protect sensitive active materials. Then moving across to nutrition. So probiotics, things we might see on the supermarket shelves, so things like bacteria such as lactobacillus, actually might have a poor survival rate during storage and during passage through the digestive system of humans. And of course, you want these things to survive digestion to end up in the gut. So formulation using microencapsulation technologies to improve survival of these bacteria has been tried. So some examples of using mucoadhesive beads formed using precipitation of cellulose alginate with calcium chloride, for instance. And you can see in the pictures here some really nice cross sections of beads which are loaded with the bacteria. Going back to that consumer product example, that cleaning product, now was quite interested in how Novozymes might have formulated those live bacterial cleaning products. And what we do know, we don't know exactly how they formulated the product on the market, but some clues maybe come from their patents. Here's one from 2021, where they really describe the challenge. So chemical components can affect the stability of the spores in the formulation and can prevent spores from germinating. To provide a long-term cleaning benefit, those spores need to germinate and then become living cells capable of growing on. So we really need to find surfactants that allow for spore stability and germination. And the problem is that those surfactants often don't provide adequate cleaning. So what Novozymes were able to do was come up with a whole range of quite well-known surfactants to formulate alongside bacillus bacterial spores that actually did help stabilize and disperse those bacteria and assist with the cleaning. So using very conventional ingredients, but having to do it in a slightly different way and thinking about the biological impact of what you're doing. So there's the challenges, there's some of the responses from industry. I just wanted to summarize by highlighting that formulated products based on living biology and other biologically derived material are increasing in importance across different industries. And that presents new challenges for traditional based chemical formulation, as well as we formulators brought up on chemistry in terms of stability, compatibility, as well as understanding. The good news is that innovative solutions have been and continue to be developed to meet those challenges in formulation. But the other good news, I think, is that those formulation solutions have the potential to be transferred across industry boundaries from one industry to another. And I was quite interested to see recently that the lipid nanoparticle technology, which was devised for mRNA vaccines, is now being adapted for RNAi treatment in agriculture. And there's a link there to an organization which is already doing that in agriculture. So that was a quick run through of the challenges of formulating biology. Our contact details you can see at the bottom of this slide. You might be interested in looking at other presentations in the Revisited series, quite a lot of them posted online now, as well as free webinar recordings. So iFormulate webinars. training and events. So this is an up-to-date list of the training and events that we're involved in, as well as other events that we think are interesting for the formulation community. And then there's a little bit about us and how we might be able to help you with your formulation challenges. So thanks very much for today, and goodbye.